Okay, I still got some knife river here that I need to nap on video. I think this is the one from the other video that I said I was going to nap, so I think that's why I put it on top of this bag. So here we go. Knife river. Let's see, do I have everything? I think I have everything. Let's start off with a little bopper. Since I need practice with the little bopper, and if I get good at it, it's advantageous because I like having a small, lightweight kit. It has a crack right there. Okay, let's see. Let's do that later. Let's try the big bopper just to get it trimmed down. Yeah. So what is this stuff like? What does it nap like? It just naps like an agate. Yeah. There's plenty of agate that's just like this, except it's not the same color, but if you've ever napped agate in a raw state that's relatively high grade, then you've napped something similar to this. It's very similar to agates. Okay. I will try to maximize it, but no guarantees. And nothing fancy. I'm just going to do a blade. Okay? Okay. I'll do Cody points once I get those casts. And probably won't have enough knife river left to do the Cody points in knife river, unless it's going to be a small Cody point. Yeah. So as soon as I get those casts in, I'll start doing Cody points. But for now, I want to offer another one of these knife river items in the auction, so I gotta hurry up and make it. Let's see. Yikes. A little bit too much there. Yeah, let's see. I want to make sure I get that crack out of there. Okay. I always try to maximize the width because I've always worked with smallish type pieces, which is what I prefer. Yeah, I prefer the smallish type pieces, and I prefer to maximize a smaller piece than try to wing it with a larger piece. I find that I'm also more successful in not breaking it if I start small and try to maximize it than to start big and not care too much about maximizing. I know it sounds like it should be the opposite, but I tend to have more success in not breaking these of this size than with a larger one. You know, these napped with more difficulty and more of a challenge than a larger one that's easier to nap. I have more success in not breaking it with adding some difficulty to the small ones, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's the way I've usually napped after many failures. Trying to nap the other way, starting with a large piece, hoping that I can at least get something out of it. But that kind of hope is misplaced. Yeah. It's not that great to start with something big, hoping for something small. At least. At least you get a small one, right? No. If you start big, you need to stay big, because if it shifts to small, it's a different mindset. Yeah, so if you start big and then you get small right away, it's a whole different mindset, and you'll mess up the small one too. You gotta stay big or stay small. That way your mindset stays the same, and you'll have more success. I've seen guys take a big old biface that someone else made, big honking biface, and whittle it down to nothing. Literally something like this that's broken. Yeah. Not even as wide as their hand. Big old biface, maybe 8 inches long. Yep. It's amazing what you see at Knappings. It's because the mindset has to adapt, and it's a big leap when you go from a big piece and all of a sudden it's small, and now you're going to try to nap the small one. Yeah, it's too big of a leap for many people that don't have much experience. And the thing that you're learning is the little tweaks. The basics are the same. It's the tweaks that make all the difference. It's the subtlety. It's just the little things. The slight variations in angles, the slight variations in forces. I messed that up. Let me go inside. I need to check on something. I'll be right back. All right, where was I? Let's see. I was talking about the variation in forces when you're napping something big and something small, and the transition between big and small. Yeah, there's little tweaks. You know, there's nothing wrong with starting with a big old piece, hoping you'll get at least something, but you need to be familiar with the transitions in mindset between something big and something small. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, the knife river is already eating up my copper tool. Let's see. I think I need to turn the fan on. It's still too humid to leave the fan off. Unfortunately, yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Where am I at? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah, I had my glove on, but nah. Let's see. All right. So it's acting like typical raw stone. And the neighbors are acting like typical neighbors. Little kids out there with their dogs or something. I need to make this edge look a little better first. A lot of times I would nap off a wonky edge, but in this case, this particular piece is acting very raw. When it does that, it means it's resisting the strikes quite a bit. Even though the edge is well ground and very angled and very thick, it still does that. Let's see if I don't know, a billet strike might work. Yeah, okay. Bopper strike. Why does it tend to work a little better? It just has a wider surface area to hit, so it's not concentrated. Sometimes when you concentrate the force a lot, it'll crush it in a weird way. But I gotta be careful how hard I hit it. So I sneak up on it and I'll miss. So I'm trying to sneak up on it. I don't want to hit it too hard right away. It's better to miss than to hit too hard on the first strike. Okay. Of course, if you're a spectator, you don't really appreciate that sort of thing. You just think that a miss is a mistake. It can be a mistake unless you're intentionally just trying to sneak up on it. Making sure you don't hit too hard on the first strike. At least with me, that's what I do. I think I'm hesitating because I don't have the glove on. Yeah, maybe that's it. I'm also bending the copper rod. Let's do the steel. The steel does not bend. And it doesn't get eaten up as fast either. Yeah, I don't like a bend in the copper. See that? It's already... I don't know if it's this particular point that did it. I don't remember it being bent earlier. Hold on a second. Just in case I want to break out the copper, I don't want to have to bend it later. Let's just fix it now. Dang, it's kind of bent everywhere. I think that's straight enough. Yes, no? Bent in different ways. Okay, I think that's straight enough. All right, but we're going to use the steel until it gets thinner, and then I can use the copper. All right. Right? That's the theory anyway. Let's see if it actually is helpful. Oops. Come on. Don't slip. Steel slips more than copper. I don't know. I'm hesitating. But that's good. It's not a mistake. It's better to hesitate than to hit too hard on the first strike. I think it is helping. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, with the copper, that would eat the copper for lunch. Okay. Still too much cortex right here, so I gotta remove that. I'm gonna lose some length right there. Hopefully not too much. So why do I use the steel again? Because I'm losing energy with the copper. This is acting very raw, which means this particular piece is very, very stiff. Very, very uncooperative, and it's eating the copper for lunch. Alright, and even the steel doesn't send these flakes in very far. Yeah, but for different reasons. The steel slips off the edge and doesn't maintain contact as well as copper. So you lose energy there, but not as much. I got insects everywhere. Insects. Bugs. Yeah, look at that. It wants to be in the video. Let's see. I'll get you. Yeah, it knows when I start to chase it. Yeah, that's not good. Typical reaction from raw stone. There it goes. I wish these would stay intact, that way you could see the flake path. But I tried to get all those step fractures from the other side, which it kind of did work. I took a lot off the edge, a lot off the tip. I think everything will be okay. Hopefully. Yeah. I think I gotta grind this a lot. Anyway, I think people want me to work the knife river because it's so expensive and they want to know how to work it, so they don't ruin it. But every piece is different. Some of it's like this, very uncooperative, and some of it's very cooperative and not too bad. Not too bad for raw stone. If it's very stubborn, I switch to steel and try that. See, yeah, it needs extremely hard hits. I may not be able to thin this down too much. In the final stages, I may have to just leave it thick because I'm hitting this really, really hard. If it gets really, really thin, I won't be able to hit it that hard. Nope. The flexibility just can't handle it. You might think that the stone can handle, if it needs to be hit hard, it can handle being hit hard. No. Just because it needs to be hit hard doesn't mean it can handle being hit hard. Yeah. It's two different things. Some pieces you really need to dig in, but it can't handle it. Some obsidian is that way. Yeah. You really need to dig in those flakes, but it is very highly sensitive, so it'll snap on you. The best stone has a good ratio, and I want to eventually try to quantify that ratio, where how hard does it need to be hit in comparison to how much force it can actually handle without snapping in half. Because it's going to have a good ratio there, or it's going to be very difficult to knap without a lot of luck. Luck is staying just under the breaking point. Yeah, just under where it normally would break. Oftentimes you cannot control the strikes to that extent. It's very subtle. You can control the flakes and the forces to a certain extent, but if it's too subtle, then you can't control it, and you got to depend on some luck. I'm kind of depending on luck here to thin down this tip. All right. It's getting thinned down, but I'm having to take opportunities that are making it look kind of wonky. Yeah, why do I do that? Why can't I just methodically do it? Because if I try to do that and mess it up, it's going to get wonky anyway. So just why not just go for it? So that's what I'm doing. Dicey. And yeah, this whole thinning down, as soon as I broke out the steel, I was in the sweat stage. Normally the sweat stage doesn't start till later, but it started early with this one. Yeah, because it's not that easy to stay calm. You know, it is napping okay. The hard part is just staying calm during this phase of really digging in and attacking it with gusto, firing both barrels at it, so to speak. I think I can calm down on this next round of flakes. I've already thinned it down pretty much where I want it to be. Yeah. The only thing is if I hesitate, it'll step fracture. See, I've taken out all the big step fractures and all the big messes. If I say, okay, I'm going to tone it down and tone it down too much, I'll start getting step fractures in it. Yeah, because one of the causes of step fractures is not enough force or a loss of energy. It's not just because you don't do it right. You know, the angles and the forces. It's, you know, you can have the angles and the forces just right, but if you're losing energy somewhere, it'll step fracture. You know, you can swing at the right speed. In indirect percussion, it's the speed of the mallet and the weight of the mallet that matters, right? But if there's something like a bending of the tool that's making you lose energy, even though you're doing everything right as far as the mechanics, the failure of the tool or something like that will cause the step fractures. And you say to yourself, I'm doing everything right, I still get step fractures. Yeah, you're losing energy somewhere, or it's not contacting the edge the way it should. Gotta change up the tool material or something. As an example, you can change the material like I did. And it seems to help in this case. Your results may vary. You may start with steel and get sick of it and then switch to copper and say, hey man, this copper's working good. I don't know why he used steel. He messes me up. Yeah. Your results may vary. So just be aware. Just be aware. Yeah. I still got my foot on the gas. Yep. I have not let up. I still got my foot firmly on the gas pedal. I think I was saying the same thing on the last Knife River blade also. Alright, I'm going to do shorter flakes starting now. Let's let up on the gas a little bit. Yeah, because it's a little bit wonky, but it's okay. I think all I need is short flakes to fix it, or to make it flatter. I mean, it doesn't need to be fixed, it just needs to be flattened. Okay. Yeah, there's no big messes here. Yikes. Okay. Let's just clean up the edge. Sometimes the portions of this edge are too thin to do what I want, so let's take it back a little bit. Make it more robust. Let's be a little more careful with the abrading, because that's where you lose energy too. If it's too rough, the tool doesn't make really good contact. Yeah, I can do this at an earlier stage, but I'm using so much force at an earlier stage that it doesn't matter too much. But now that the forces are getting slightly tweaked, it's more important to get the edges smoother. Okay. I still don't like it. I gotta clean my glasses or something. Something's blurry. Yes, okay, that's better. I think I might switch over to copper, but the smaller diameter copper, now that I'm at the tip. Let's see if it'll grab the edge a little bit better. Yeah, it grabs the edge a little bit better, but there's a little bit of a drawback to that too, because it pulls, and you don't want to pull the tip off. So during this operation, if there's any incipient cracks anywhere and this copper is pulling, it'll pull the tip right off. The cracks will open up and then you'll pull the tip off. Or if there's any weakness due to a section being too thin, it'll also pull the tip off. I'm still hitting it pretty hard, but I did let off the gas as far as the strike intensity. Anyways, I usually zone out instead of trying to explain things, but at this stage I usually zone out so I don't have to keep explaining each hit play by play because it gets annoying. Trying to explain because sometimes it doesn't work. And I don't know if it's because I'm trying to explain or what. It's easy to say, yeah, I messed up because of the video. Trying to do a video. Everything's making a mess. Trying to explain is making a mess. Cutting myself is making a mess. The copper and the steel getting eaten up is making a mess. Let's see. So I just usually zone out during this stage. And this will help protect my finger from further damage anyway. Yeah. I got my finger right up on near the edge on the tip here so I can support the workpiece. I'm not supporting the flakes, I'm supporting the workpiece. The flakes will travel under my finger. Yeah, because it's a strong material. I can tell if I'm stopping the flakes. In most cases, I can tell. And I'll try to move my fingers a little bit out of the way. This one seems to be okay. Where do these things go? I'm already bending over the tip. I don't know what you call it when you have a protrusion that sticks out because you're hitting it really hard. It digs in and pushes some copper out, and then that copper gets bent over. Yeah, that's what's happening. Got to make sure that doesn't happen. I think I've said before that if copper sticks out and it gets bent over, it looks smooth, but it will lose energy because it's got a bent over part overlapping or sitting on top of the other, or sitting on top. It's not a solid piece. It's sticking out, gets bent over, and it's sitting on top. And if you hit on that piece of copper goes away and you lose energy because it's not fully solid. And you can't tell. because it's flat, and then when you do brush it off because of the hit, you go, well, it looks flat, still looks flat. It's because that little piece that overlapped is gone now. How do I know? I don't know. Maybe it's because it happened to me a gazillion times and before it finally sunk in. That's what was happening. I couldn't figure it out. Everything looks good on the tooltip. I need to switch over. Am I done? Yeah, I'm pretty much done messing with the very tip. Yes, yeah. I can do most of the rest with pressure. I might get out the indirect percussion stick later for the final thinning. I can go to a larger size of tool now. There yet where it's a blade and I can just sharpen it? We're almost there yet. Oh, I forgot to show you the parts that are sticking out. If I remember, I'll show you the parts that they stick out because it peels back a little bit and then it raises up, and then you'll hit it again and that'll go flat and it'll look like everything's cool. All right. I don't like it. I'm stepping hard on the gas again for some of those flakes. How much luck so far have I depended on for this as a percentage of the strikes? How many are just lucky as a percentage? Because that's important. I'm trying to think here. It's a high percentage. Yeah. High. What is high? More than 10%? More than 20%? For me, if it's 1 out of 5 strikes that requires luck, that's a high percentage. I'd rather have it like 1 out of 10 or something. Because that right there is luck. But I would rather have maybe 1 out of 10 like that than 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 3. Yeah, sometimes in order to get thin, the lucky ones, you gotta have like 1 out of 3. That's terrible. And if you get lucky enough, I mean, if you have a lucky session, you won't get those. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Mistakes like that. That's not bad luck. That's just a typical flake. See, that required some luck there, because in order to fully eliminate, but that's good enough. I'm afraid to thin the middle too much. Let me see. Let's do the end. If there's something down here I need to do, I'll do that first. Yeah. You guys, if you're new, you're not going to know what the percentage of lucky strikes are. You gotta work a lot of stone to know that, yeah, that was pretty lucky, or that was just normal. Or that was unlucky. Something weird happened and it wasn't your fault. You're going to have a hard time knowing what's what. That's why some people just give up on Flintknapping. And what they can't figure out is, what is the lucky and what is the unlucky and what is the normal. They're depending, and they get all mixed up, right? They're depending on the lucky ones when you can't depend on that. But they're depending on it because they think it's something else. They don't think it's luck. They think it's something else. They think it's good planning or good technique or something that's controllable when it isn't. And they just can't figure it out. See, that was lucky. If you're keeping track of how many strikes I call that are lucky and then count them up and give me a percentage, that would be awesome. I could review my own videos and figure that out. That's not something that I really like to do. I mean, I will do it once in a while, but only when I got nothing else to do. Now, when the strikes are normal, does that mean it's controllable? Yeah, it's mostly controllable. It can never be 100% controllable, but mostly, yes. It can be mostly controllable. And those are the normal ones. When you know you can control it to a good extent, and it goes where you think it's going to go, yeah, that's normal. This one is on the normal scale. That wasn't that lucky, right? Because I waited to do that until an opportune time. Yeah, it's normal because, you know, it didn't completely clean that area up. It still has that ridge. See, it went that way instead of going this way continuously. It scooted a little bit that way. Lucky would have been cleaning all that off. That would have been a lucky one. But it's normal right now. Yeah. It's reasonable to expect a little bit of remnants. Yeah, reasonable and normal to expect some remnants whenever you do a strike for damage control. It's normal to expect a little bit of the remnant to still be there. At least with me, I don't consider the lucky ones part of this controllable. I know that that's obvious, but I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah. I depended on a little bit of luck on that one. I thought I was going to do just that much. And maybe a little bit more, but it carried over, which is a good thing because that did flatten it a little bit better than I was expecting. Now, this here, would it be lucky for me to get a strike that'll take down that lump here? Well, if I prepare for it, the more I prepare for it, the less luck is involved. But let me see. Sometimes you can't prepare very well because the edge is too thin or the contours are not favorable. Even if you try to set it up, it still doesn't look right. There's too much concavity in front of the obstacle, no matter what you do. You don't want to go super narrow. But I think this will be okay. Yeah, I think this is a normal. I'm expecting to reduce that by a good extent. Yeah. I don't think it's going to require a whole lot of luck. I can pick that one out later. And some of these I'm just going to leave for now. What time is it? 40 minutes? I got to hurry up because I got to go in here in a minute. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too much concavity before the obstacle, so it's time for some pressure flaking to see if I can improve the edge. Yeah. Hold on. Some of you might be thinking, why do I always use steel pressure flakers? Yeah, it's because I haven't made any copper ones. That's one reason. The other reason why is the copper pulls a lot, and I snap more with pressure than I do with percussion. Yep. I snap tips off. I take little bites out of the edge, those ring cracks. Those happen more often with pressure than with percussion. With me. With you, maybe not, but with me, with copper, I tend to pull a lot of material off by mistake when I'm using copper. Steel is a little bit less pulley, if that makes sense. Okay, here we go. Good thing the fan is on. Let's see. See, that's normal. Luck would have spread out a lot and taken more off. That would have been lucky. That was normal. Yeah. Good. The contour was good. I saw that the edge was thick enough and ground down enough. This next one should be normal too. Not much luck involved in this one. Yeah. It's starting to come down to the right thickness. Yeah. Those were all pretty normal. Yep. All right. Good. That's I don't want to push my luck. Yeah. That's it for the all the major thinning. Yep, just minor edge repair now. Okay, see, there's a protrusion right there. You gotta get all those off. Okay. Probably should switch over to the smaller. Every time I'm working near the tip, I forget. See all those little things sticking out? Protrusions sticking out. Gotta get all those off. Where am I? What am I doing? I'm thinning the tip. With percussion because sometimes I need a relatively large flake. I can do small flakes with percussion pretty easy, but if I'm using a pressure flaker, trying to get the bigger flakes is harder. Although it's not, it's kind of crushy. It's not doing that great. I think I can do better with a pressure flaker. So is that it? Is it time to, yeah, it's time to sharpen it. Yep. Come on. Come on. I know you can loosen up. There it goes. Come on. What is hitting? Stubborn. All these are stubborn. Okay. Why am I doing this now? Because just in case they interfere with a pressure flake, there just happens to be a long pressure flake, that would be a bummer. Because then I would say, why didn't I take those out of there? Because now they're interfering with some of the long pressure flakes. But yeah, it's not working. So I'm gonna have to live with it. Some of you might be thinking, well, we're watching you so we can know how to take care of things that are difficult to take care of. Don't be skipping. I want to skip it. I don't care. I don't want to drop it because the tip will land right in the mess and then it'll be all over. Right now, if I drop the tip on the towel, it's not going to do anything. But if there's a flake there, yeah. I used to not care too much back in the day when my points were not that thin. But now I'm trying to get everything really thin. And it does break when I hit a flake on the floor. Yeah, and there's nothing more aggravating. Okay. You might say, well, you wouldn't do that if you don't drop it. I'm fumble fingers, okay? Leave me alone. I got dementia in my fingers. Yeah. Eventually it's going to go to my brain. If it's not there already. There. I beat you to it. That's what you're going to say. Yeah, I know. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Time to tiptoe through the tulips. Yeah. Here it is. Okay, let's just finish this up without fussing too much. No, not like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Thin enough? I think it's thin enough, yes. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's see now. The rest of it can be done with this other pressure flaker. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit crushy. Oh well. What is doing it? I don't know. It's too hard. Too many rock chips. The real artifacts had crushing on the edges too. So it's a pretty common issue. It just takes a lot of practice to be able to predict everything. If you can predict it's going to crush the way you're doing it, you can kind of make adjustments or change something so it doesn't crush. But I can't predict it all that well. All right. Just cleaning it up. This is the picking method of sharpening, as I've stated before. It's basically small saw teeth or serrations, but it's not intentional. It's, if it looks serrated, it's incidental. What you're doing is just making it more regular by snapping off all those little parts sticking out. Changing those big protrusions into small protrusions. Yeah. You can leave them in. I mean, I'm doing it just for looks. Yeah. You don't have to make the edge that regular. Nope. Yeah, one thing about steel is it does harden up, so you've got to, you know, keep removing steel so it stays fresh and soft. And the stone does get embedded in the steel tips as well. That's not just the problem with copper or aluminum. The rock does get embedded into the steel tip. Maybe not to the same extent, but it does. And it prevents you from snapping off clean flakes. It just kind of crushes when you've got too much hardness or too much debris on the tip of the tool. Same goes with the indirect percussion flaker. Yeah. No, not like that. No, not like that. I told you. Now I'm just messing with it too much. I'm seeing thick spots, but then I'm making step fractures on the thick spots and crushings on the thick spots. The object is to make them thinner. Yeah. But if it's too sharp to push off a flake on the thick spot, it's not going to work right. I'm trying to take a shortcut by trying to push on edges that look like they're not really that sharp, but turns out they are. Dang it. Yeah. If it's too sharp on the edge, you won't be able to push off effective thinning flakes. There it goes. Okay, almost there yet. This will be available in the auction. I don't have too much more of this knife river of this size. Yeah, so don't expect too many more of these videos of knife river of this size. Just so you know, just heads up. All right, what is the size? 4 inches exactly. Yep. An inch and a half. Okay, yes, I like it. It's got some translucency. What kind of knife would I make from it? Something like that? No. Something like that? Yeah, something like that. No, it's too big. This one seems... I gotta make a smaller one of these so I can show you. What about a bone handle? Yeah, it's too thin. I gotta make that notch deeper. Where's the deep notch? This deep notch? Yeah, okay. Deep notch. Yeah. It's hard to get that one centered. Something's wonky about it. Yeah. Anyway, I put it on something like that, similar to that. Maybe a little bit deeper notch. That way I can wrap the whole base. At, where it starts to constrict, that's where you put the wrapping. You don't want to put it too far up when it starts to constrict the other way. You go from the widest part downward. That's where you start your wrap. If you're going to wrap it. Now, nothing is stopping you from hafting it higher than that and wrapping the whole. Maybe the whole bottom half. That's even stronger. But if you want a minimal wrap, you wait until it starts to constrict and then just wrap that part. If you want to wrap it, you can just use only glue, like a lot of them did. And strangely enough, some entire handles were made of nothing but resin. They just put a blob. They just insert this into a blob of resin, and there's no wood. It's just resin as a handle. Yeah. Especially in cold weather, I guess, or wherever it's not going to be melting or getting soft. You can stick this into a blob of resin. Alrighty. Good enough. I like it. That's it.